Oh, so like we're definitely not taking to the attention right now for like Ichigo and Printies like Gigai like basically trying to on the store around like I'm preparing those both those Gigais of Ichigo and Renji won't be empty at all. It's definitely not taking to attention. Those two Gigais will be like precisely occupied by those other two modes. So it's definitely not taking to attention. Those like I'm just preparing the except for the like the so separate like people who are in Nova as well as Trabulo that would have already occupied like the guys of like both Ichigo as well as Ringy right now. It's definitely not just very much. So like I'm just referring to the players like Ichigo and Pro. The actual Ichigo and Pro would be like trying to like get close to like the guys of like Ichigo and Ringy. Like at that point, I'm just referring like the guys like standing up and basically are running away. It's like the scenario that I'm observing. And this time, like according to like their plan, like Liren and like Nova Children's first plan, like this time they will be actually planning on precisely like in like a single shot to like get like the entirety of like Ichigo and through into getting trapped and pulled into like the actual pro case or that follows is definitely not good for us. So like I'm still thinking to my person to represent that like the precise case of follows in this like chat as well as one of them had been like dragged into my ability and that precise gates of follows in this like these three merchants like Lorenz Nova as well as Naruto Center like they that precise gate of follows would be definitely a fake gates of follows. If it's only a gates and follows only in appearance, it's definitely not the condition. It was definitely created by Urahara, definitely not the condition. Something into my consideration that like these three modes might have definitely been created by Urahara. Like the moment like Urahara had heard of like this, but the moment like Yoriki might have reported to Urahara from like the society, that the moment like Jason had basically stolen the Hokage and left to like the world of horrors, like they really at that point itself, without much delay, like itself, like and the foreign authority had definitely phone called and reported to like Sahara about like the happenings that like the Hogan Jews currently like the in the Asian specifically in like the world of war. So like straight away like Urahara might have began this like began this like process around the straight away began this like process of like creating more so with this precise uh, intent that's like and which would be like the part of that intent will be what's currently happening right now with like which is going through the situation of which is going through like what the three months of them is definitely going to be and these three months of the bit only and fully following Urahara orders perfectly because like Urahara the moment Urahara creates these three months of like Urahara made a straight away those and that way clearly I am the one who have created you and I hold the power to exactly like since I'm the one who created you, I hold the power to even destroy you. Might have been what Varahara might have told and present on them. So like that way to like scare them into like doing exactly what Varahara wants is definitely not doesn't really change. When in actuality Varahara would definitely be like back when like definitely back when like Varahara was like the head of like the research and research department back in like when Urahara used to be in like the Soul Society before like Mayuri replaced Urahara. Like I'm preferring Urahara might have definitely the second time I was mentioned that Urahara might have definitely been part of like the mode soul creation and experimentation. Definitely my person to be so the Urahara might have totally been against back then like Urahara might have been totally against like the elimination order, which would be either through the center politics or like by getting way to like eliminate all the modes of like or other back then might have been only against it. The especially my personal and might have been supporting and of like the ideology that basically like more process as well deserve the latest technical and yet like currently like the person like basically after like or had created this free more source like the Karuno Nova as well as like during like at that point like you know to get them to do exactly what Kurahara wants so that like eventually to go and through will be like ending up uh, going to like the world that follows and eventually end up fighting against Ace and that way eventually Urahara will be getting back to like Togeki's especially for like such a situation and the scenario to happen like Urahara might have thought that basically he needs this most different motor to like play this like current like play the role in like getting stealthily getting to going through to like the world of Apollo. So precisely because of that like Urahara might have like falsely scare these three monsters that basically and threaten them that basically Urahara will destroy them if they don't obey Urahara's order. So like that, with the sole reason for like behind everything these three monsters are doing right now. It's definitely my legendary impression. And like basically the fact that like both the Gigai of like Ichigo as well as Renji that were like even Ichigo Gigai that Ichigo even recently like with like Urahara as well as Renji Gigai which will obviously be at like Urahara stuff like being present right now in like a it's in like it's going through like school like basically it's like even more evidence to like basically even more evidence to like these three mortals being like basically obeying and taking orders from Urahara and working for Urahara. It's definitely my injury and production. Also, like I'm specifically know this in the reason that like, the initial strategy of these three modes, so like they're in Karudo as well as like Nova might have been definitely in order to get in order to get like Ichigo and Kuro into like the world of Solos, like the initial strategy might have been like precisely after like tricking and driving like for him as well as like Chad into like what appears as it's like gates of Solos like after trapping them in that fake gates of followers like about the totally putting like their next strategy might target might have been precisely Ishida to precisely drop Ishida into that gates of followers so that like so many of like Ishida's like precious friends like being what appear what would be totally at that point will be appearing to Chigo as like so many of his like precious friends like getting trapped into like that gates of followers like basically at that point, like Urahara might have been like patiently waiting that way to like according to their whole plan like that way for like to go to like obviously Urahara helps like precisely and ask Urahara to create that the place if like Urahara would be able to like create uh, a gate leading to like the world. So it's exactly like how Urahara was like the first person that created like the gates leading to gates or like person that allowed it to go and through to like be able to like travel into the society. So like Urahara might have wanted such a scenario so that like Ichigo would Ichigo and Kuro wouldn't suspect Ichigo and so that like Ichigo and Renji wouldn't suspect like Urahara at all as a for like Urahara being behind this like everything. So might have been like Urahara strategy is definitely my very well. So according to that strategy and plan of Urahara and like these three modes also like but so like my their impressions that like their strategy might not only that by like the moment like it should have figured out like the whole maze trap which was like shortly and precisely solely set for precisely Ishida was like Ishida being targeted is definitely not the version but like Ishida himself being like the first person to like outsmart all of them the three motors and basically to the point of like even being able to like even should I even capturing one of like the motors no but like basically at that point like the other two motors might have definitely like that Karuda might have definitely seen like the scenario in which like Ishida would be like posing and threatening and interrogating Nova. So like if Nova reveals the truth about like Kurahara being behind this, like basically that Karudo mode. So he will be like the actual leader of like these three modes. So like he actually saw like the possibility of like Kurahara being like extremely disappointed with like them failing that way. So at that point, like Urahara taking destroying like the three more so like that fear might have like that Karudo monster might have feared that so like the Karudo monster might have straight away decided to like release like chat as well as like from like the fake gates of hope so that like that way to like divert like the attention and distract like Ichigo Renji as well as Ishida so that like that way Nova could be like free and so that like they could like escape and like re-strategize and form their next plan to like precisely strategy going through to like the world of Polo. So like that next strategy that they might have quickly came up with might have been precisely and that might have been precisely their strategies definitely went with me especially because like after like solving like the maze puzzle and after precisely like uh, Chad as well as for him and even showed up that basically despite again the fact that Jaren herself was like the person that went towards Ichigo and through that basically like their next game awaits at like the school ground like basically so like typically Jaren that might have already came up with like the current plan of like uh, using like the Gigai of like Ichigo and Renji is definitely my personal framework. So like this time like I'm still checking my personal frameworks, but this time according to like the strategy of like these three modes also, they will be totally planning on basically eventually threatening Ichigo and Pro with like basically destroying like since like the modes are right now I'm personally predicting will be totally possible like like the mode will be totally currently specific both Ichigo as well as Renji's Gigai like I'm both different them totally threatening Ichigo and Pro with like basically destroying their Gigai. Just like the central scenario that I was referring. So like that way, forcing and like they would be doing that by precisely opening up like another gates of follows is like the scenario that I'm referring. So like at that point, them threatening Ichigo and Pro and basically with like destroying like their Gigai unless like Ichigo and like and their Pro steps into willfully steps into like the photo games would be like that kind of like a threat that and personally don't think that like the motor would be making and that way forcing it to one through and giving it to one through no other option but to like basically enter into like the enter into like that precise photo games like the scenario that and basically only things and that would be like that would be like the actual gates of follows definitely unlike the previous gates of follows that basically these three modes like create opened up like basically that would definitely be fake gates of follows while this time like it would be like the actual gates of follows so like especially that way Ichigo and like end up through entering into like that gates of follows and straight away I'm interpreting like the gates of follow straight away closing behind them. It's like the scenario that I'm going to interpreting. And that way, like that at that moment, like it's going to totally being trapped into like the gates of follow, just like the scenario that I'm interpreting. And I'm delivering like without much great delay, I'm delivering like Torahara as well as like Yoroichi definitely like showing up to like that precise word of follows like and like without much delay, like meeting up with like Ichigo and Pro and making it totally seem and Harado and Yoroche totally putting on that as the fake actor that like they had came to like this like world of follows solely to like save Ichigo and Pro and along such lines like then putting on like the ultimate fake act and basically then still Urahara totally tricking Ichigo and Pro by saying something along the lines of like we are trapped right now we have to like find another way out we have to find a way out of like this gates of out of this world of follows and that way like Urahara totally tricking Ichigo and through and like that way Urahara precisely leading Ichigo and through into like in like the world of follows and those different at that point it will be Urahara that will be precisely leading Ichigo and through and Urahara would be leading them with like the precise intent to like eventually get them to precisely where Aizen would be and like making it appear as if like Quran has like really something for like a way out of like this world of knowledge. And that way to like eventually get Ichigo to like face off against like Aegon and that way for Urahara to get back the phone to be like Urahara's plan. That's definitely my Totalitarian version. So this is what I'm totally only for thing for like the eventual future scenario right now and in my Totalitarian version. Okay, so like definitely, definitely impression that I'm still thinking on this basically that Kukuna would definitely be having this extreme brilliant side to him, which would be precisely through which like how Ishida alone was able to like precisely figure out like the recent maze like threat set by like these three mortals and also like Ishida even along the process even being able to like figure out only being able to like figure out that these three are basically like Garen Karudo as well as like Nova are actually mortals like basically the fact that on top of that, like you should have potentially being able to like even capture Nova, like even if temporarily, basically it seems we all like we should have extreme brilliance, especially my position everything. Yet like there will be also that extreme naive extreme like unbrilliant side of like Ishida as well. It's definitely kind of like sense and unbrilliant side of like Ishida as well, which should be like the precise and sole reason for like Ishida right now in like the present situation, even after having so many clues like leading to like clues like leading to like Kurahara probably having like definitely having like a connection to these three mortals and everything these three mortals doing like basically still the fact that like Ishida is not even remotely suspecting Kurahara at all. The fact that like Ishida knows of the fact that like Kurahara used to be in like the whole research department. Uh, the, the fact that like Ishida right now will be definitely knowing that basically from his like adventures in like along like at some point in like So like Isura by now would be definitely knowing like the fact that like Isura like I mean like Urahara used to be like the head of like the research department of like the South Society before Mayuri, and the fact that like the South Society used to like research like more sorts of research and create like more sorts like the fact that like Isura knows of all this, and coupling that with like the fact that like these three current villains like Karudo, Nova, as well as there are actually more pros. So basically, like the connection that like Urahara would be like currently like would be definitely possibly behind like the creation of these more pros, and even coupling that with like also the fact that like the current fact that basically current situation with like both RNG as well as like Ichigo's like Gigai that which they precisely placed that like Urahara shop totally right now, totally just like that, like totally appearing in front of them in like the school ground, basically like totally lying abandoned in like the school ground, like basically like even though there are all these far too many clues for one to like basically for Richard to be easily able to like suspect like Urahara and having and being like the person behind all this like and having connection to this in these three modes also can do, and also the fact that like when coupling all this with like the fact that basically reason the fact that Ishida wants like the whole Q badly, and like it was only because of that reason that by now like Ishida even knowing that basically it was to get back the Hogigo that like Urahara even helped Ichigo and to get and train Ichigo and like Ichigo and Chad and Ohime and like basically to get them and like the fact that Yorochi as well who was like Ishida's friend like even going and helping out like it's going through and get helping them get to like the soul society and helping them rescue and all this work just so that like Urahara could get this like holy kill, even while Ishida even knows of that, and even while Ishida even knows of the fact that basically currently the holy kill still even after all this helping like Urahara still haven't got the holy kill back, and uh, and the fact that currently the whole queue is in like Asian profession, and the fact that like currently the whole queue is in like the world of follow, the Asian in like the world of follow, like even after like you should are having like far too many clues for like suspecting precisely Zorafra as for like and with like currently even connecting that with like the fact that like precisely uh, recently like Chad as well as what never precisely dragged into like the gates of follows like even while currently like Ishida has like far too many clues to totally suspect Urahara. Still, the fact that like Ishida totally extremely naively and in an innocent manner, like basically the fact that Ishida simply Ishida someone who like like so someone who could like even solve that extreme tough maze set by like those three modules and did all these things like basically that very thing is the fact that that very thing is even to like this point like basically is not at all even remotely suspecting Urahara. And it will be due to that brilliant and dense side of like Ishida. It's definitely not considering that. And so like definitely not considering interesting right now. It's that like really right now they're in won't be like told about like they're being a fake among Ichigo's flow right now. It's definitely not considering, and that fake would be definitely Renji is definitely not considering. And since like when Liren even says this like there's only like Nova along with like Liren and the thing to be probably Karulo that made it totally uh already been within like the mouthful of Renji precisely when like Ichigo through had made it definitely not interested, and hence why like it was it being like extremely hard for like Renji to like get into like a Renji Gigai. That's definitely my secondary interaction. So like the flame I was on the rendition of that like I think precisely because of this reason that it being like solely hard for Renji alone for like Renji alone to get into just like a stranded Gigai at that school. It's definitely not of the revenge, and it would have absolutely nothing to do with like Renji like being like a soul having lived so long for as like a soldier and used to being in like the Gigai form. It's definitely my secondary impression. So definitely like the more soul of like Karudo might have already been present within like Ranjit Gigai precisely after like Ranjit have like entered into this like Gigai. It's definitely my positive impression. Right now it's definitely my positive impression. So like the fake would be Ranjit, it's definitely my positive impression. even though the fake will be Renji, like still like the original Renji as well will be presented in like Renji's Gigai, along with like the Moto Karudo, especially when the So and my post also my post career impression for at the museum like basically towards like the end like as to like how exactly Karudo and Indra had precisely saved Nova and was referring like precisely once like Ishida had captured like Nova and basically Ishida had basically like used like that soul thing on basically soul item on like Nova and basically that way that like that way like Nova's like mode sword seed basically was removed like basically at that point I was depressing like precisely like how exactly Naruto and Garen had saved Nova was precisely through they like my the revelation that like the very instant like Ichigo as well as the Renji had basically placed their swords in that museum itself like basically and entered into like the room along with like Ishida, like Neso along with like Ishida. At that point itself, like potentially Karudo might have shown up there and potentially might have taken those two swords. Definitely my personal understand. And like I'm also bring since these modes also have like the power to control space, like I'm also putting so I'm also putting Karudo might have been able to like minimize the size of like those swords. Is like those two swords is definitely my personal range, and he might have only kept it. It's definitely my personal range. Like precisely eventually once like Ishida had captured Nova and precisely right then like Carlo even instantly like going up and basically running off with like that mode soul seed of like Nova. Precisely what might have happened during that time might have been precisely like Carlo as well as like Liren as they ran out of like the museum and like they instantly like use their powers to like open up the fake gates of hollows and basically my thought their impressions that like also that basically once like it would definitely be a fake gate of hollows and on once like anyone enters like into that fake gates of dragged into that fake gates of hollows like at that point it's that they will be totally losing their consciousness. This is definitely my personal opinion. So like both shadows and sort of might have been trapped within that fake gates of hollows while being totally unconscious. It's definitely my personal opinion. So it would be more so alone. Like Urahara might have created was like a fake case of follows in such a manner that it would be more so alone that would be able to like enter into that fake case of follows and be conscious. Everybody else would be like getting unconscious the moment they would be like entering into that fake case of follows. That make it famous. So like I'm like bring especially what might have happened would be precisely Carodo as well as Liren basically not for the first goal at that point to like precisely save Nova, like then both like running out of like the museum and basically instantly opening up like the fake gates of all and letting out both Shad as well as Orpiment out of it. And then I'm also putting like and then like after Chad and Orpiment showed up like basically precisely it was precisely like Nova as well as like Liren that were standing on top of that follow gate. And that Nova was not the actual Nova. That Nova was definitely uh, that Nova who was at that point holding both Ichigo as well as Renji's swords. Like basically that Nova was precisely Karudo disguising himself as Nova. This is definitely my personal image and him giving back straight away and see the sword should actually save Nova. It's definitely my personal image. Only so that like Ichigo and crew wouldn't like head back and basically head back to like the museum and basically uh, take like take the capture like Nova who had basically lost that more so then basically since like Nova at that point might have definitely been not even be able to like move so like it prevents its like activity like precisely like might have been precisely Karudo that might have showed up right at that point and was standing around like a relation there and on top of that follow gate precisely as Chad and Okine was let out of that place the name of the meeting and that Nova might have been precisely Carola that had even like changed and the size of the kit was so that was with like Carol's profession and basically turned it into like actual normal size and gave those swords beside the scratches and straight away gave Ichigo and Renji's swords as well as like straight away like according to the plan like to save Nova like precisely Lauren even making the next mission and next game and that way totally distracting Ichigo and through from Nova as well as like giving them that whole next game straight away with and making the threat that basically they don't play that next game and run straight as far and make it as fast to their goal like they would like that Liren and Learn and the other modes also will be like once again like abducting Ichigo's friends, like basically making such a threat, and that way, even though Ichigo's friends or Ichigo had all of his friends at that point by Ichigo's side, like Torihime and Chad at that point, like it should definitely be the actual Chad and Torihime. Like even though Ichigo had got all of his friends, like still so like that way, like that might have been a trick by especially they're into like especially create that need, desperate need for it to go through like as soon as possible capture these Spender and the other two modes also that like once again like they would like show up in like the middle of the night and basically once again try to like take away like for a minute or like chat. So basically like that way creating that whole next game and next destination of like that school destination for like its game pro so that like they would totally be distracted from Nova distracted and check would be like not even bothering to like check would be totally distracted that they would totally forget about like the Nova that he should have taken out in like that museum and they wouldn't go back to the museum to like check if that Nova is present there and so that like they would like totally go away from the museum towards like and rush towards like the school so that like what might have happened would be like safely after Ichigo and Kuro were like running towards like the school for their next game like at that point itself uh precisely Karudo might have precisely showed up to like the museum and precisely seems like he had like the most soul field within he might have precisely given it to like Nova and that way that would be precisely how Nova might have been saved. This definitely my personal theory and prediction. So the actual Nova might have been saved with exactly in such a manner. So definitely my personal theory and prediction. So like my personal theory and predictions are like when Jack and Horikime had basically shown up out of in front of the museum had shown up out of like the all of a sudden like basically at that point like basically when like Liren and Nova, the fake Nova who was technically Karudo in like fake disguise of Nova when he had shown up as like Nova and basically had given went through the source like at that point like had like Ishida and Ichigo and all of them had not fallen for that trick, like and had like had Ishida at least Ishida had like tried to like cross check if like basically if, like that if that's like the actual Nova by like running back to like the museum and seeing if like the Nova that Ishida had taken down is there or not. Like had Ishida done that, like Ichigo and Kuro would have been able to like successfully capture Nova. So definitely my present it's only due to like Ishida as well as like Ichigo and Cruz, all of them like totally falling for the trap and trick of like Karudo. Karudo's disguise as Nova standing on top of that polo gate that totally and that way like Ishida and Ichigo and all of them thinking that Nova had escaped when in actuality that was only like the fake Karudo in disguise as Nova. And solely due to like Ishida and Ichigo and all of them falling for that trick, like Nova was able to like escape. This is definitely my personal impression. Okay, so like I definitely not taking the remuneration right now. So basically different and like the other three modes of like their current strategy would be that basically they will be like these three modes of will be totally hopeful that basically if you and to won't be able to like figure out like the correct answer is definitely true as to like which among them is like the fake. It's definitely my personal impression. So like since like the threat that like Aaron had made is basically to like turn like the entire school like disappear like if they and with like the condition that they can even throw can only answer once and if that's wrong like then that will be disappearing so like I'm wondering their whole plan like their and to other thing also like their plan will be to like precisely like they will be totally hopeful that basically even with like Ishida brilliant, like Ishida not being able to like answer figure it out this time. So be like what like Darren and the two more will be hopeful about right now. And hopefully thing right now is definitely my brain. So like the plan would be to like perfectly they will be totally hoping like it's going to like get their answer wrong and at that point like them totally putting on fake actors like they are about to disappear at the end of school. But like so that like at that point like they were totally expecting at that point for it even group to totally please to them to like not do that. So like at that point like then they're totally going to like basically tell Ichiban Pro that like so okay so like to basically tell Ichiban Pro that like okay so like she won't make the entire school disappear but like instead like what Ichiban Pro has to do will be like especially at that point they're and supposedly opening up like the holo gates and basically that way for get that way to get Ichigo through to like enter into like the horror games like and to make it so that like that's like the condition for like failing to like answer it right and like in exchange for like learn the two notes like not disappearing like tender so like Ichigo through having to like wanting to like homologate. And this time at that point, like they will be planning on like basically actually pulling out like the actual true hologates, like not like while all the hologates they might have pulled out until right now would be like fake hologates. Like at that point, still like basically the popular and the remote of state pull out like the actual true hologate. And that way trap is going to there into like the world of Holo according to like Kurahara's like or simply like their strategy, current strategy and planning of like the three nodes. So it's definitely my secondary direction. Also, like my secondary direction right now is also that like precisely like the Nova that's like right next to learn has like learn because right now like has given its even pro like the game to like find out who which one is like the fake among them like precisely that Nova that's like right next to was like right next to learn at that point might have been definitely been Carlos definitely my secondary direction right now. That might have been like another another freaking strategy to like precisely increase and maximize like the possibility of like you not even should have been able to like figure out which one of them is fake. Especially due to like them think falsely think that basically that Nova that was like a rise next figure and was actually the true Nova when in actuality and so that like that way they would be totally think that basically it's basically Naruto that's like Naruto like the only mortal that has the power to like copy and oldest guys being like the only module missing. So like that way, like to make trick Ichigo into thing in such a manner so that like they will be suspecting like one among them to like precisely be like the Karudo module in disguise. So that like in actuality, like it would be precisely Nova that might have definitely been present within like Renji's mode. So within like Renji's Gigai precisely as like Renji even before Renji entered Renji's Gigai, stranded Gigai in the school, like Renji's Gigai might have definitely contained like even before that, like precisely Nova might have entered into like Renji's Gigai. It's definitely my person to understand. Hence, it's being like extremely hard for Renji alone to like be able to like get into his Gigai. It's definitely my person to understand. Even while Nova will be present within Renji's Gigai, like I'm considering either Renji not being able to like realize that it's definitely my person to impression, or like I'm considering the modes of Nova would be having like unique powers with which like Nova would be precisely like either Nova would be hiding in like in Ranger's mode soul or like I'm interpreting uh, either Nova would be hiding within like Ranger's Gigai or like without Renji not even being able to like realize it. That's like 1% that I'm interpreting. Or like it would be precisely at the moment Renji had entered into like Ranger's Gigai, like Nova might have totally hijacked and totally Ranges Gigai and basically uh, totally controlled and stopped Renji from being able to like speak out and reveal that basically Nova is basically is within Renji's Gigai. So like I'm considering currently like the Renji that's right now interacting with like H1 will be precisely Nova acting as if like he's Renji. This is like either one of these two possibilities is definitely my possible remedy. Anyway, like the fake and like the right answer will be precisely Renji, definitely my percentage and function. And my percentage impressions that like even in the case of this game of finding out who's the fake as well, unfortunately don't bring it to be once again Ishida himself that would be like once again like figuring out that base eventually figuring out that basically Renji's like precisely like the fake among the it's like the scenario that I'm interpreting in my percentage impression. Okay, so like, they know the direction right now as for like instead of still not being able to like still not suspecting Surahara properly and basically still not being able to like figure out like the involvement of like the urge's involvement, possible definite possible involvement of Urahara into like the current happenings of all the games and everything basically. If we should even telling Ichigo to like contact Urahara to find out like why that the guys were left stranded on the school ground. Like definitely, I totally remember certainly like Ichigo totally calling Urahara and asking Urahara what happened, how the guys ended up in like the school ground. And that was the point, especially since Urahara would be by now knowing Ichigo part too well, that Urahara would be totally know, well and fully aware that basically to be far too easy to like trick Ichigo. So like I'm going to bring Urahara straight away telling Ichigo that basically that all of a sudden when I look that basically I have kept your Gigai safely in my shop, in the specific room in my shop, and all of a sudden like when I look like when I just stepped out and later when I showed up to that room, like all of a sudden you guys were missing all of a sudden. Like that way, like Urahara totally putting on that uh, obvious kind of like a fake act toward like Ichigo and basically not only Ichigo but like even it as well totally buying it and basically still even like they were brilliant they should as well totally being confused as like what might have happened, how like the guys from the Hara stuff has ended up in like was stranded in like the ground without still the brilliant Ishida still not being able to like suspect Urahara or even figure out that basically of like the obvious extremely high possibility of like the involvement of Urahara in all this. It's like the scenario that I'm looking for. Like, Ishida still not being able to figure out right now. Even after like the Urahara's like a reply to the Ichigo's phone call of like excuse of her reply after like Ichigo's phone call to like right like the scenario that I'm looking for. Yeah, so like definitely no particular interaction right now as for like Tatsuki even telling all of the man why she goes like acting differently, why did she go and Renji having like the non-serious right like I'm the perspective. Definitely my particular impressions are like Tatsuki would have definitely seen like secretly seen Tatsuki might have secretly hidden somewhere and might have only seen like when Tatsuki might have perfectly showed up to school like what Tatsuki might have seen might have been perfectly Ichigo and through like basically being confronted by this society that North South and these in like the school and these three North South like these two North South like basically giving Ichigo and through this game and like the threat of like making the entire school disappear and all that like potentially nothing might have secretly spied and might have witnessed like then that thing is definitely my personal and neither not only Ichigo and so but like neither like the North South as well might have not spotted like that to be secretly spying, especially my person theory and prediction. And also my person theory and prediction is that like so Tatsuki as well would be like frantically trying to like because and also citizens like Tatsuki by now definitely have like gained the power to a certain level of spiritual power to be able to like see spirits. I think that so and those the thing Tatsuki might have definitely been able to like see those modes. So it's definitely my person theory and prediction. And also, my theorem so like Tatsuki as well would be like currently while being present in class, like the brain Tatsuki as well would be like frantically searching to like find out like who is it among Ichigo's through that's like the fate among them. It's definitely my theorem. Tatsuki might be doing that in like her own stealthy manner. Tatsuki might be trying to figure out definitely my theorem. But like like, right now my theorem is that like the usual scenario to be like once like the time would be up and once it's like time for like it's going through to like give their answer which they only have a single attempt at basically answering to like learn like at that point I'm considering even Ishida knows of getting arranged it's like the scenario that I'm considering either Ishida know I'm considering like before answering like Ichigo and all of them, Ichigo and Fruit like discuss among them after like who they each one of them think was like the fake and I'm considering like neither Ishida nor anyone was going to like suspect Renji, especially when looking to the impression. So but like I'm looking at only putting it will be this time right now so this time it will be potentially Ichigo and Ichigo alone that will be like potentially giving the right answer and that will be of like Renji. It's definitely my looking to the impression. So Cyclians only due to like, and that will be Cyclians only due to like Ichigo having that whole close bond of like sacred and close kind of like bond of friendship with like Renji and what kind of like some time and basically so like Ichigo would be like knowing Renji far too well, even though Ichigo's like kind of friends like and still solely due to like Ichigo knowing Renji far too well, like I'm Ichigo would be able to like maybe like I'm Ichigo might do his like absolute maximum to like expose Renji as a fake in front of Ishida and others, but still I'm considering like at that point like for precisely the and I'm considering right now definitely that the moment Renji had told like the moment Renji had basically entered into like just like he gave us like difficulty at that point itself I'm considering definitely Nova who might have been existing within like a Renji's Gigai already might have precisely trap Renji, the actual Renji would then just like Gigai at that point. And basically, it might have been Nova that might have been controlling. It might have been a only person that might have been controlling Renji's body. Since that point is definitely my first reaction. So like the actual Renji would be trapped within like Renji's and Gigai by Nova. It's definitely my first reaction. So and those different Ichigo really trying to like expose like that Renji is like the fake in front of like Ishida and the others. And I was preparing like at that point for like Nova to put on like the absolute perfect act and basically at that point for like neither of Ishida and Chad and the others like basically totally not cross suspecting Renji at that point is like the scenario that I was talking about. But still, like even with all that fake acting of like Bam delivering still like Ichigo, even Ichigo's attempts would be seeing though Ichigo's attempts, multiple attempts to like expose like Aranji as like the fake would be like fading, like still able to bring because of that close bond that Ichigo's of have formed with like the actual Renji, like Ichigo still would be able to sense that basically this is not the actual Renji regardless of how many times it will fail at its attempt. It's definitely not the grammar. So like I'm considering eventually once like it's time to answer, like I'm considering maybe like them deciding that basically Shida would be like answering and basically as precisely as Shida would be about to answer and Shida would be about to like say like somebody else's names, certainly my secondary impression. But like at that very last second, I was preparing Ichigo stopping Ishida and basically Ichigo shouting out that it's like a Renji. And straight away, like I was deciding like at that point, like Lirin and like Nova would be extremely like disturbed at that with that answer of like Ichigo and like Lirin would be like frustrated. Lirin and was pretending to totally tell them that like Ichigo's like a right that in fact Renji is like the fake. And it was only at that point that I'm putting it going through even finding out that basically this entire time it wasn't like it wasn't Carolo that had basically been one of like the fake, but like uh, that had been played put in the that had played the role of like being like one of the fake members of like Ichigo, but it being actually Nova and like Carolo was like the precise Nova decide the entire time in disguise. Like basically like Ichigo and Pro like only like figuring that out. Even Ishida as well only figuring being able to like, figure that out only at that final last point. As like Ichigo would be giving this like answer of 20. It's like the scenario that I'm just because the I'm not going to be interesting. So like the Indian authors is very interesting right now. That the movie like Eleven might be deep down feelings of like uneasy when she had seen the when Ichigo totally like doubting Renji is definitely not looking to impression. So uh precisely because like according to my person theory it would be definitely Nova that would be like the most old Nova that would be like precisely controlling Renji's Gigai currently definitely not looking to impression. So like since like on seeing like Ichigo doubting that Renji and personally totally for things that precisely that it could be like definitely like Darren might have totally deep down felt that she's the uneasy even though Darren might not show it. It's definitely my person to version. So to precisely create that absolute distraction in that way to like waste away time like I'm different like to totally waste away time so that like basically through that distraction like to create like an absolute distraction in the store which would be like the form of a follow which precisely I'm personally referring like things like the Nova that's like right next to Darren when the game was when the fate finding out the big game was revealed I'm preparing that would have like been like Naruto in the case I'm preparing right now especially like what Tatsuki might have seen and shouted out in fear in like will be precisely like Carolo that has been that has disguised as like a hollow that has disguised as like a scary looking hollow. It's definitely my person career so to create such an absolute distraction in like the soul so that like basically that way like Ichigo and Co would be like totally distracted away from finding out who the fate is before like the time runs out and that way like Ichigo and Co would be like losing like precious and valuable time like trying to like search or like trying to fight like that hollow which would be precisely Karudo in disguise and that way to like that way to like stall time so that that way so that like the time it's going to be like losing that precious time so that like by the time like using Karudo to like waste away all that time so that like what the time will be so that like Ichigo and crew won't be able to like focus on finding out like who is like the fate among them, and that way so that like to greatly increase like the possibility of like Ichigo and crew failing to like answer correctly as to like who is it that like fate among them. And that way so that like Endurance like the two more could like win the game, and basically that way they could like eventually like make the trade-off for not like disappearing the entire school. Like it's going to have to like basically step into like the actual games of horror which they would be creating at that point. It's like the eventual would be like the eventual strategy and plan for like Darren and like the other two more sources definitely my presentation, which would get only like very definitely my presentation because like right now we're different like Karuno would be like transforming like using his like disguise power to like basically turn himself into a hollow and basically would be trying to that scare like Brenda like and will be like attacking like a school with like around like a scenario that I'm different. So like at that point like it's and the others like basically showing up to stop this hollow and so like at that point I was prepping for like Ichigo, Chad, or him and Ishida like quickly rushing into like that location and basically them seeing the follow and basically them like precisely at that point Ichigo, Chad as well as Orihime attacking this follow like with another that I was running. And then like strangely like and shockingly like Ichigo, Chad and Orihime as well as Ishida figuring out that basically their attacks are not working against like this follow for some reason, and they and it will be precisely because of like that more sort that follow being actually being screwed up in the sky, especially in the generation. So like then like I'm considering like Ichigo and like still like them not being able to figure out this like scenario that I'm considering that follows like fake them not being able to figure out at that point is like the scenario that I'm considering. So like right then I'm considering like Ichigo totally Ichigo Chad and Okime totally placing all their hopes on Ishida basically and like Ishida and telling Ishida to attack. So like at that point, Ishida desperately trying to like launch his like 20% attack, but like Ishida still won't be having any access to his like 20 powers. So like Ambassador at that point, like Ambassador and at that point, what only would be when Ichigo Chad and Okime would be like realizing that like Ishida doesn't have some like 20 powers even right now. Like it's definitely my consideration. So like at that point, I'm not considering all of them to like only think that basically the solo some sort of like a different unique kind of like follow and can sway their attacks are not even affecting solo. That's maybe I'm looking to reimpression and maybe that's like the scenario that I'm looking at only running. And this entire time Renji would be precisely missing among Ichigo and Kuro. Like Renji would be precisely missing as like Ichigo and Kuro would be like heading out to like fight the solo. So definitely I'm looking to reimpression. So like I'm preferring then I'm preferring like eventually like I'm preferring for like by the time and like I'm preferring like this hollow like totally precisely leaving or like disappearing precisely or like so like I'm preferring like the gates of hollows like once again opening and this hollow like leaving after a while, and this hollow would be precisely leaving precisely as soon as like the time took for like the game would be like almost about over. Like when there's only very little time left for like the game to end, would be around the time that all of them like this precise follow would be strangely like expecting to most expecting most likely through this like gates of always being opened and the solo going into that those gates and to follow disappearing into them and like the scenario that I noticed. And then about the it for like without much great delay, like about the picture and showing up and basically already telling it's going through that basically time is almost up and basically at that point I'm also preparing like Ichigo at that point I'm also preparing like and right now my percentage impression is different like at that point I'm also preparing Ichigo maybe still suspecting like a Renji but like I'm also preparing as for like the others like they won't be having any clue at all so like I'm also preparing precisely as like it's time to like answer like give the answer like I'm also preparing at that point Ichigo at that point I'm also preparing still at that very last second right now I'm also preparing it will be like before Ichigo will be about to answer I'm also preparing Ishida to tell Ichigo that like Ishida will answer and Ishida totally telling the answer that it, in fact Renji that like the fake comes to them. And then like at that point would be when Lucifer like learn the shockingly not just learn but like it went through all of them like being totally and absolutely shocked by like the explanation as from Ishida to like why Ishida said it like the answer Renji. And that would be precisely because during this precise follow attack, Ishida precisely being able to sense that precise exact mode source present in that follow. It's like instantly straight away since it was like a hollow attack under different since it was like such a critical situation Ishida might have not been able to even though Ishida might have been able to sense it Ishida might have not been not been aware of it so under different as the time for the game would be about to be over at that point would be when Ishida would be recollecting that day and basically at that point realizing that basically he had sensed the very same mode soul present in that for as well. So, definitely went up into Remote. So that would be how Ishida will be figuring out that basically. So that was definitely Karudo in disguise. So definitely basically when Liren had even given them the game to find the fake among them at that point the first Nova that was right next to Liren was actually Karudo. Basically and so Karudo was the precise and so Karudo was right there in the place that's no but it was the same Karudo that just now has once again this guy's fan turned into that precise follower. You should have figuring all this out and so you should have come to the conclusion that so definitely it would be Nova that would be precisely that might have been the actual fate and basically Nova might have been precisely hidden within Rangi's body arranges Gigai possessed as Arrangi had entered into arranges Gigai. And at that point, he should have only recollecting his memory and realizing that basically that dialogue that Arrangi had said before entering into Gigai, that basically it was extremely hard for Renji alone, it being extremely hard for Renji alone to be able to enter into this Gigai, but it was totally easy for Ichigo to enter into this Gigai. So at that point, you should have totally being able to connect the dots and realize that basically it wasn't because of RNG not used to being in not due to RNG always being at Soul Reaper and not used to being in a Gigai, but it's actually being the reason for RNG it being hard for RNG to enter into this Gigai possibly being due to that Gigai of RNG actually hasn't contained Nova stealthily lying within that Gigai. The fact that RNG was back to RNG is entering into RNG's Gigai. And hence it was and hence the reason for it being hard for RNG was RNG to enter into Gigai and this entire time that Nova might have been the first person that might have been controlling RNG. And hence why Ichigo might have even suspected that RNG basically all this basically should have been able to connect towards the very end as the time was being over. So the game and basically you should have so that way you should have given out the answer this time as well that the fake is RNG and then we should have giving all this explanations that would be totally shocking all of them and totally extremely disturbing and frustrating Liren as well as Karuno as well as Nova who at that point itself Nova will be leaving Ringy's Gigai and will be standing along with Liren as well as Karuno as well as it's even the scenario that I'm talking about thing and not the impression. And Ishida, while connecting all the dots, I'm considering Ishida also realizing that basically precisely when that follow had showed up, precisely the only person among them that was missing was precisely Renji. And Ishida being able to connect the dots that basically precisely the reason for Renji being precisely missing as Ishida, as Ichigo and Ishida and for him and Chadwa had gone off to stop that follow precisely Renji alone being missing was precisely because of Renji being the most soul being presented in Renji so that even though even though none of their attack Ichigo and Chad and Hornet attack didn't affect the mode so affect the follow still if basically Renji was present there and if Renji had if Renji had came along with them, then Renji would have fight off against the whole. So since Renji being controlled by the North Soul, that Renji had attacked that North Soul had attacked another North Soul that basically Kurono that's had basically disguised as the whole. Then at that point so Renji's attack alone would be striking the whole. So basically that way the whole cover would be blown that basically RNG is the big and hence why the sole reason for RNG precisely not showing up precisely as Ichigo and Rose had gone up along to precisely stop the whole. Basically, this is like the scenario that I'm going to bring, and through this eventual scenario, like should have only being able to connect all these dots and figuring out that like the fake was in fact arranging is definitely my top engineering. So it's like definitely not engineering production right now. As like back when like Ichigo had basically started to like doubt arrange as possibly being like the fake. Like at that point itself, like and they're like constantly observing this really even deciding to like make things tougher for Ichigo and through that as well as like that decision of Endurance as well as like currently that decision of Endurance as well as like Tatsuki right now seeing something and getting scared as well as like basically right now like the gates of like the gates to like the human world from like the soul society being closed temporarily for a few hours like and the reason being like your age is precisely even phoning Ukitake to do so and even right before the gates being closed, like precisely so if one of all people like according to precisely your just code of like precisely leaving so if one alone like leaving is also setting all this will be totally connected. Especially my theory and prediction. And this would all be exactly and the precision like your reach is like that has to it's like on the same team as like that. The definitely on the same team as that of Urahara and would be having like the same goals as that of that Urahara. So definitely not the very understand. Especially because of this reason like definitely, it would be precisely according to like Kurahara master Villeneuve's kind of like strategy to like eventually trap it and throw into like the, and get it and throw into like the world of all would be the precise reason for all this happening was definitely not the Grandmaster, especially because like I'm still thinking about the Grandmaster that since Kurahara was like the first person who created like the whole BQ, Kurahara would be well enough fully aware that there will be not much great time is left until Jason would be able to like acquire and possess like the power of like, the whole BQ like even though the whole queues with Jason like right now still I'm trying to take some time for Jason to be able to like process like the whole issue. But right now that with like Ishida totally even totally outsmarting even all of their plans and basically Ishida even Ishida even precisely when Ishida was supposed to be tracked into the gates of follows like especially during the maze game like I was during Ishida even outsmarting like the monsters and everyone and basically that way like the game getting dragged out and basically that the from that point of view like around with only thing along the lines of like purchase time was going based only due to like Ishida Ishida brilliant. Like name of the Raymond. So like to quickly wrap things up and basically to quickly ensure that like each one group gets to scrap in like the world of follows. So that like eventually they will be able to make it towards like without realizing that they will be able to like they will be reaching Asian and they will be slowly fighting off against Asian and that way so that like Urahara will be getting like the whole video from Asian before like Asian gets to like process like the power of the whole video to ensure all this will be perfectly everything that will be happening right now is happening. It's definitely my personal impression. My personal impression is definitely that like the proper strategy of Urahara that Urahara might have talked with like and strategized and brainstormed and strategized along with like Yorochi will precisely that Soyfon would definitely, especially if like Yoriji has like the power of like transformation power. Especially since like Yoriji has like the power to transform into a cat. Like I'm just putting if you're just be a cat alone, like Yoriji will be able to like transform into anything. That Yoriji might definitely have such a power, especially in other characters. And especially like way back like Soyfon and Yoriji, and even to the present day, like Soyfon and Yoriji are so close. Yet like the past like basically back in like society since like Soulfon and Yoriji were had spent a lot of time together. Like basically back then, like Yoriji might have trained Soulfon and might have taught Soulfon. Back when like Yoriji was like the leader of its stealth force, like back then like Yoriji might have only by spending time with like Soulfon, like Yoriji might have trained Soulfon to be able to master like the precise transformation technique of Yoriji. Definitely my person to impression. So even though Soypon is like not belong to like the and my person remembers is that even though Soypon doesn't belong to like the Shihoin clan, like and I'm considering like this transformation power will be something that comes like naturally and without much difficulty for like solely for like, the Shihoin clan alone. So I think this definitely one of those new emergence. But yet like Soypon due to another being that being such an extreme hard worker and having that extreme determination and like with that, like Soifon might have like the creative cut is still Soifon might have eventually succeeded in like mastering the transformation technique of like the of Yoriji. Definitely my personal impression. Yoriji might have trained Soifon and taught her the transformation technique is definitely my personal impression. It's already out of like Yoriji's friendship and that's a good bond of friendship with like Soifon and Yoriji on seeing how like Soifon is like so eager to like learn and get stronger and everything. Like Yoriji might have taught Soifon that transformation technique in Texas and that's definitely my personal impression. So like right now in like the person like Yoriji, so that's like calling Soifon to basically show up to like the human world to basically like exit like the soul society right before like the gates of like the soul society to like the human world are getting close. Like I'm referring to especially the consistent and like the ultimate strategical trap set by according to like Korahara Geologists plan to like precisely what might have happened would be like precisely what Tatsuki might have seen and gotten shocked might have been precisely a follow, especially in a consideration, but like it won't be like an it definitely might have definitely not been like an actual follow. It might have definitely been so upon using her transformation like powers to basically transform herself into like making her looking like a follow. It definitely might have been the impression. And that way to like precisely so upon might have precisely affected Tatsuki is definitely my secondary version. And especially since like the current game is like going on with like Ichigo and Peru and especially seeing how like Ichigo has already like gotten even Ichigo has gotten to like shouting like RNG and those different thing like so like precisely like Darren might have felt uneasy and Darren might have even recorded about this to like Eluoruchi or Hara definitely mentioned and like the possibility of like Ichigo and through like only figuring out and outsmarting them and figuring out the right answer this time as well. That when is big is also like kind of like leaning more towards like a positive happening. So like at that point like the strategy that Kurahara and Yoriki might have taken might have been to like precisely this follow strategy using like Soifon precisely. And the fact that like Yoriki didn't show up to like steadily to like Ichigo's throat and didn't do the whole transformation into like the whole of to precisely that way up that Tatsuki would be precisely as only due to like the definitely especially because of like because of like definitely because of like specifically because of like Ishira's preference like Ishira someone who can sense like preferences like way better than Ichigo as well as Renki. Yet like still you're also thinking along the lines that even if you had still showed up to try to like show up to the Ichigo school like still like your spiritual pressure because it's like pretty seriously high like basically and Ichigo and to having spent so much time with like Yorochi, like they will be able to like precisely sense precisely if like Yorochi even try to like still show up to like Ichigo's school. So like precisely right then if that Yorochi transcends into like the follow like totally their power would be blown even if like Yorochi abducts and escapes with like Tatsuki still like by solely sensing it which through the like sense Yorochi which will pressure like and those different the fact that like Yorochi and Urahara behind all this like games and all these modules and all this crap for like Ichigo everything Ichigo and through I'm going through right now that's covered will be blown. It's definitely my personal intention. And it will be precisely because of this reason that like Yorochi might have precisely decided to like see so it won't help to precisely do this for Yorochi and Urahara. It's definitely my personal interest. So like I'm considering what might have happened would be like Soifon might have transformed into like a hollow and basically like what Karthik might have shockingly seen and Kareem might have been seeing this follow and this follow might have precisely like so upon the guys that the hollow might have precisely abducted Tatsuki and left just definitely might have into the left to like maybe like Ohara's shop and Gorochi will be present there in Ohara's shop. It's definitely might have been the so like and this will be all intended so that like Presley to totally convince Ichigo and eventually convince Ichigo to that like actually like a whole an actual pro follow had basically showed up and basically had left to like the world of follows with like Natsuki to basically to create like such a feeling in like Ichigo and Kuro would be like the so that like Ichigo and Kuro even if like they even win even if like Ichigo and Kuro answers correctly still that the fact even if Ichigo and Kuro answers correctly and even if they win this game as well like still that the fact that like just to create that absolute need for Ichigo and Kuro to like basically head off to like the world of Polo to especially save Tatsuki would be the precise reason for like Yoroichi and Urahara like planning all this through Soifon and everything is definitely my personal theory. I'm bringing so that like definitely even if So like that's like the exact scenario that I'm referring. So like I'm referring by the time like Ichigo and Pro would be able to like I'm suffering maybe for Ichigo and Pro like totally hearing the scream of Tatsuki and but like by the time like they will be making it there like they will be totally seeing Tatsuki missing. So like they will be all looking around for Tatsuki but like then them not being able to like figure out. And I'm suffering like so point by transforming into like the hollow form like giving some sort of a clue as to like making it seem as if it was like a hollow that had taken Tatsuki. This is also definitely my business tables. And they would like totally, according to Urahara as well as your plan, they would totally want Ichiban to like genuinely believe that basically it was like a hollow that had taken Satsuki and that hollow had taken Satsuki's life, but like had precisely taken Tatsuki to like the world of hollow. Basically to make such a scenario convincing for Ichigo and Pro, like I'm not pretending like Soipon would be doing something in that precise location where like Soipon would be only affecting Tatsuki. Definitely my personal impression. So like to precisely like not for Ichigo and I'm considering definitely Ishida as well as like Ishida might not definitely sense like the spiritual pressure while the Tatsuki might have been affected by Soipon like while such a thing would be happening, like I'm considering like Ishida might not only been able to like sense like the physical pressure of like a soul reaper. That's definitely my best example. So like at that point, like for Ishida to like not suspect that basically someone from it was someone from a soul reaper from like the society and not a follow that had basically abducted that to get to for Ishida to not suspect along such lines would be the reason for like according to like Urahara and Yoroshi's plan, like them deciding to like precisely during that time, precisely like close the gate and their gates of like the soul society to like the human world. So that like even if like Ishida would be doubting that it's like the work of a soul reaper still like for like eventually and the like eventually for once like um Tatsuki will be affected by Soifon and those developing that definitely Urahara and Yoro will be sort of expecting for like Ichigo and Kuro to like precisely show up to Urahara's place and be also like doesn't get impression that like since like Ichigo still have it even though Ishida so had told Ichigo to like phone Urahara and ask Urahara as well why they are Gigai like the years of Ichigo and Renji were like stranded in like the school like even though Ichigo still having called Urahara. So Hara would be as well as Yorich would be well and fully aware that still Ichigo would definitely be eventually cloning in Urahara. So like by then like precisely when Ichigo would be cloning Urahara, like at that point Urahara and Yorich would be not expecting Ichigo to like also were really reveal about like Tatsuki being taken by Apollo. Definitely my person to remember. So like at that point, even if like Urahara might be also expecting maybe for like them to like even tell Urahara about like them having sense like even though it seems like appears as if it was like a horror that has some like Tatsuki still like it they had all sense like the still pressure of a soul reaper and while certainly that has happened. So like basically at that point for like Urahara as well as Yoroichi totally it's to totally tell their absolute fake lie that basically uh, and to say that thing that basically that the soul society was precisely closed during this exact time. So like basically no soul reapers from like the soul society would be ever able to like would be ever present in like would be able to like come to like the human world and abduct like Tatsuki precisely because of this like for them to like make such an excuse and that way to like even though would be like I thought either Ishida would be like would have sent like this picture pressure of the soul free for precisely when like Tatsuki would have abducted away like still for them to like still totally doubt themselves and for Ishida and all of them to like totally doubt that sending of like the special pressure of like soul reaper and for them to like still lean more and actually eventually believe that maybe it was actually not the work of a soul reaper but like it was like the work of a whole of that basically Tatsuki has been affected. So that like basically even if and that would be like that whole ultimate backup strategy as well. It's definitely my personal brain on top of like stalling and wasting away by creating such a situation with like the unexpected affections of like density, like to totally create such a situation and that way to like stall time for like the game for like it's going through to basically reveal the to basically say who exactly among them is like the fake like basically on top of like stalling time that basically this will be also like the backup strategy of like for Hara and Yoriki that basically even if they say the right answer then even then, like basically they would be still faced with like the situation that basically Tatsuki totally going missing, uh, and like them that way believing that was like Apollo that had abducted Tatsuki, so that like that way Ichigo and through wanting to basically possibly head off to like the world of Apollo to precisely save Tatsuki. It's definitely and Urahara and Yoro should be well fully aware that basically how much of how close like Tatsuki is, especially to like Orihime, that basically the Tatsuki missing like definitely Orihime would be desperate to like basically find and save Tatsuki. So at that point, like Ichigo and Crew would have no other option but to like help Orihime out. So like to create such a scenario might be like Orihime might be like Yoriki as well as Prohouse trick and strategy and star plan. This is definitely my personal impression. And also my personal impression is for like Ichigo and Crew at that point for like Ichigo and Crew to like not suspect the abduction and the thing of Tatsuki to like the reason being like due to like these three modules like basically for each one code to not suspect that like I'm not something like I'm not differing like these three modules like I'm not differing one like Ichigo would be like eventually saying the right answer at that point like these three modules like totally telling Ichigo and Pro comfortably that basically without showing any sort of disturbance like them planning on telling Ichigo and Pro then they would be like telling Ichigo and Pro comfortably that basically congrats you have won the game and we are leaving right now and basically for them to like leave just like that and that way maybe seem make it seem convincing to like Ichigo and Pro that basically it wasn't like somehow to make it convincing to Ichigo Pro that basically the affection of Tatsuki has like absolutely nothing to do with like these three moves. So and possibly according to the non-procedure impression that like possibly according to like Urahara as well as like Yorichi's plan, like they might be also thinking about the lines that like basically which went through like won't be like protecting like the morphos for like the three morphos for like the abduction of like Tatsuki precisely because of like definitely Ishida being able to most likely would be like sensing precisely like the crystal pressure of like a soul reaper rather than a morphos precisely at the precise location where like Tatsuki will be getting affected. So precisely because of that, like it's going to not suspecting like the frame also for having any connection to like Tatsuki's affected. It's also like along the line maybe like Kurahara and Yorochi might be like totally planning. It's also definitely my talking to revelation. Yet like at the same time, like them being able to sense like the spiritual pressure of like sword reaper. Yet like at the same time, like Urahara and Yorochi planning on making the excuse that the South Society had been like especially closed off, especially during that exact time, so that basically no sword reapers would be entering into like the human world and would be able to like abduct like Tatsuki at that point. So like and on top of that like Soifon like on transforming into like hollow like basically having transformed into a hollow with like claws with like massive claws and creating like destruction in like claw marks in that precise location where like Tatsuki will be getting abducted so that like it totally appear as if like it was not even the work of like these three mortals but it was the work of something huge, which would be most likely like a follow. Basically, like creating such false evidence and basically that way totally freaking to go and prove so that basically we forced to like head off to like the world of follows to like especially save Tatsuki. Maybe this would be what like as like the backup strategy if like it went through win in this like round as well in this like game as well it might be like the ultimate strategical villains kind of like strategical trick of like a plan that basically uh Urahara and as well as like Yoroichi would be currently plotting is definitely my present. Okay, so like definitely my consider impression right now was like a Renji precisely someone who was even was present along with like Ichigo and Kuro, even during even in Ichigo's classroom as well. Like Ichigo and Kuro were attending their class, like even then like Renji is someone who was like along with like Ichigo and Kuro. That very same Renji right before Tatsuki going missing that very same Renji totally leaving Ichigo and Proof with like in the name of like the excuse of like basically contacting like the search society. Definitely my the impressions that it would definitely have a role, definite role to play in this in this current game as well as like in Tatsuki going missing and everything. It's definitely my consider impression. Precisely because what might have happened definitely would be like Renji might have totally like it might be the Renji specifically to my particular impression that would be definitely Nova. Because I'm still sticking to my particular impression might have been protected Nova this entire time that might have been controlling Renji. After like Renji had like entered it, the actual Renji had entered into like Renji's Gigai and then school ground like this. From that point on, like to this very point, like it might have been definitely precisely Nova that might have been precisely controlling Renji. It's definitely my particular impression. So like precisely it might have been precisely at the moment that it might have been so it might have been simply Nova that might have made the excuse and told is going through that with right before like them executing their next move to like potentially abduct Tatsuki. Like right before that, like it might have been precisely Nova like controlling Renji that basically had made the excuse which went through convincing kind of excuse to like to went through and talked about like contacting like the soul society and basically what might have happened would be like precisely Renji was like controlled by the guy was controlled by like Nova. And I think in the name of contacting the soul society, he might have only gone somewhere. He might have only gone on like into like a deserted area, empty area in like within the school and living it there. Like I'm preparing for that list, so it won't would have shown precisely exactly there precisely according to like your told the name of the religion. So like Yorichi might have only revealed to like Soifon about like wanting to like get Ichigo and prove to like the word of follows to like basically that Ichigo will definitely is like our only hope in bringing down Jason and all that and saving the soul society from Jason and all that. Like Yorichi might have said along this lines to like Soifon and so not to get Ichigo through to like the world of horror, we have to do this. And basically, like Yorichi might have told about like these three mod souls being like part of the plan and everything. So like and like the rendezvous point might have been precisely for so if want to like precisely meet with this like precise Nova mod soul like who's in like who's controlling Renji. You guy like what does like precisely Yorichi might have detailed out to like precisely as part of the plan might have only detailed out to precisely so I can't speculate on the grammars. So like in the certain of like empty area within like the school like precisely what might have happened would be like Soifon might have showed up and met with like Nova who was like controlling Renji's guy and basically Nova might have removed himself from like Ranjit Gigai. And at that point, like itself, like and only at that point, like the actual Ranjit within like a Ranjit Gigai might have been able to like access this Gigai. It's definitely my personal impression. He might have been playing trap this entire time. It's definitely my personal impression. So like Ranjit essentially might have came to this like might was like finally able to like, control his body, but right then like the very what Ranjit might have seen might have been precisely Soifon standing right in front of Ranjit. So like what Soifon might have already done might have been straight away straight away it's like so I want it like on the level of a squad captain while Renji is still only a lieutenant even though Renji can use that guy like still since like Renji is only a lieutenant while it's only on like a lieutenant level while Soifon is like a squad captain level definitely my personal opinion is that Soifon would be even stronger than Renji is definitely my personal opinion and this would be where like the relevance of Soifon comes in definitely my personal opinion right now. So and especially because it's like Yorich or Urahara tries to like do the exact thing that Soifon is doing like basically and I'm specifically about the impression that like Yorichi even doing like the role of Soifon would totally attract the attention of like either Ichigo and Crew or like specifically definitely Ishida. Ishida would be able to accessible definitely sense like you're just present in this tool if like Yorichi attempts that. And hence like the importance of Soifon is definitely my particular mention that I'm still thinking on to like Soifon for like definitely that Renji was able to like control his like boss Gigai like at that point itself, like he saw Soifon standing right in front of him, and Soifon might have easily overpowered Renji and quickly trapped Renji. Definitely, what might have happened is definitely my first dream, like quickly trapped and silenced Renji without taking for his life. Like still might have only silenced Renji and trapped Renji. It's like the scenario that I'm looking at only correct. And then like potentially Carlo might have most likely turned into a follow and basically precisely might have scared Tatsuki and might have totally maybe like totally pulled Tatsuki as well into like the hollow gate. Or like might have only abducted Tatsuki or something. Or like and then might have only gotten Tatsuki as well trapped into like that big hollow gate. Definitely my picture impression. And this is all being to like precisely ensure that basically Usu and Pro fail in their game, in at least in this game, especially my best game. So that like basically with like Nova coming out of like Ranji's being able to like come out of like a Ranji's Gigai that way precisely uh, the, so that like what the next part of like the plan of strategy might have been precisely like the transformation power of like ability and power of that basically transformation ability that precisely Soipon alone might have totally have which like Yoriti might have trained Soipon to be able to like achieve. It's definitely my personal thing. Like Yoriti can transform into a cat like so Yoriti will be able to transform into like any form of animal. So like same in the similar manner of like Soiton as well would be able to like transform in any manner into anything. It's definitely my technical sense. So like Soiton might have especially transformed into Renji at that point, especially when looking to Emerson. And so like currently like the price of Renji that like currently right now reporting to like Ichigo and Pro uh that basically he contacted like the Soul Society, but like he wasn't able to like get through. Like basically that precise Renji that has shown up right now would be precisely Soiton in the disguise of Renji. And especially like both Renji and Soiton are like sort of because like basically like even though Ichigo is like so close to like Renji and so different still like Ichigo will be totally feeling something off with like Renji overall. But still Ichigo won't be able to but still was something like Ichigo totally going with the flow and like totally right now since like Ichigo's like mind would be totally disturbed with like him being like so totally extremely sad and disturbed with like Tatsuki missing that basically Ichigo like the fact that suspicion that Ichigo have towards like Renji might not be like taking a lot of priority in like Ichigo's mind right now. It's definitely not the winner. So like right now, without much and considering this would all be like precisely ensure that like Ichigo and Pro fails in this game, exact game, precisely because definitely with like this way like Nova leaving like Renji's big guy like so like my particular impression as for like the this like extra like worry and like tension that basically the mods are putting on to like even though already they are already playing their game according to like how like the mod works yet like on top of that like the mod works even increasing the difficulty by like even starting like the whole disappearing of like the students even before time even running out, starting with like precisely Tatsuki. Basically, all this would be precisely to like create fill their minds with all that worry and create all that distractions so that like they it will improve it only distracted from phone. It's definitely my concern. So like I'm preparing precisely once the time is up, like I'm preparing like the more thoughts will be totally personally putting like precisely once like the time is up, like I'm preparing uh like precisely phone as well will be like showing up along with like Ichigo and Pro. And at that point I'm preparing like them asking Ichigo and Pro as for like the answer and I'm preparing like not even Ishida being able to and I'm preparing like all of them like maybe like either Ichigo shouting out that it's like Renji or like I'm preparing maybe when Ishida like totally carefully analyzing a lot of things and basically maybe saying that it's like a Renji, but still like the more sort would be like totally happy because like they'll be saying that the answer is wrong and that basically right then like the phone that will be standing right next to like is going to would be like basically revealing to be like Naruto at that point. And like it's definitely my personal impression. So right then like then revealing that like the original font, the actual font was like tied up somewhere and basically within that time and basically because you are so distracted you didn't notice like basically along such lines like the scenarios that I'm considered only thing and that way like basically all three of them like Nova Liren as well as like Karula that was standing in front of like it went through that way like at that point like it went through probably feeling as if like they have failed. Exactly, that's how it like the past, like basically the entirety of the memories of like the entirety of like physical class, that's basically or like school, that's basically simultaneously being erased like in the past. Like I'm referring that would be definitely through like some sort of a unique device of like Kurahara or like sister device of Kurahara or like that would be through some unique ability of power of like with nobody was like there's no second some sort of a device that exists in like society or like or has definitely members of and that maybe also has to do with like for phone being someone right now. It's also definitely my personal premise. So like maybe in a similar pattern, like things like the collective erasing of memory is like possible. So maybe this is some sort of a device like a such a spectral device like a temporary teleportation of like all the uh, all the school all Ichigo's classmates would be also happening. So like a possibility that I'm considering. So like maybe like like they will be like telling that the time is up and basically uh, when Enderon will be revealing that the time is up and basically Enderon telling it to go and like show up to like the school around. So like I'm referring like maybe Renji being like the last person to like Renji who would be like so it won't transform that like Renji being like the last person to like leave the school and right before that like so it won't like right before leaving like so it won't activating that device and basically like the entire different school students and teachers, like all of them, like being teleported to some dimension like location where they will be totally safe, but they will be totally unconscious, like the scenario that I'm considering. And that way, like once Ichigo and Kuro would be like getting their answers wrong, like basically the monsters like totally playing it off, totally putting on the page that like they have disappeared like the entire getting score, and basically it's going to frantically searching back and basically checking and basically like the entire getting score. Absolutely no one person in like the entire getting score, like such a scenario that I'm looking at. And then like I'm considering the more into like actually speak that basically precisely the entirety of the scroll have been teleported to like transported to like the world of follows and basically that even the precisely because and also that basically Urahara as well as like Yoroichi as well we know about them like basically they them as well have been like we have precisely gotten them as well and they are as well trapped in like the world of follows and that's why they have gone missing since the morning. Like basically along this line, like Liren putting on such a fake act and basically that like such a scenario, like that such a fake scenario that would be like at that point totally convincing for like to go through at that point is what I'm the scenario that I'm looking. So that like at that point, especially with like for him being like extremely disturbed and sad and disturbed about like Tatsuki going missing, like on top of that, like with like all this like information as well, like Bachavaran Horikime being like adamant to like it's going through that basically that she wants to like basically go do like the world of follows and basically save Tatsuki and everyone. So like at that point, like it's going through like having like absolutely no one to like seek help from, especially since like they can't even contact like the so society that like basically with like all their openings to like any sort of help being like totally cut off like to go and through like at that point I'm looking trying to go and through totally deciding to like go along with like uh taking the same decision as sort of him and basically decided to like go along with like what me and the others and willfully like it's going through totally getting without realizing they are getting tricked like willfully it's going through like entering into like the world of precisely through and it will be happening precisely once like the ring would be like totally lying and like the telling each other that like Lirin and her other two monsters have basically trapped all of them into like the world of horror. So like at that point, like each one through totally without realizing that they are being like each one through like willfully like entering into like the gates and basically gates of horrors and basically that way entering into like the actual gate, world of horrors like the scenario that I'm considering and right then itself I'm considering precisely and it will be only this time alone that like the actual gates of like the birds into like the world of Wolof will be opened by like the three mortals that Lena doesn't get anything. So we really created and given to them by Urahara to only use it at like the right moment and would be like that right moment for them. So precisely as Ichigo will be entering to that world of follows, like precisely like the mortals closing that actual gates to like the world of follows and straight away and also bring the even like the reveal to like totally happen with like but like not to like Ichigo through them not realizing and them being trapped in like the world of follows by like the monsters will be totally laughing between each other and they straight away bringing out like all the students and teachers as well uh, as well as the others as well as like Presley, Urahara, and Yorochi, as well as like Tatsuki, all returning back. It's like the scenario in like the real world, it's like the in like the human world, it's like the scenario that I'm exploring, and them about the bring for Urahara and about the bring maybe like that's like one possibility. The other possibility is like and then Surahara and Gorojin like doing final bit of like preparation or something before like them as well heading on into like the world of all of that like one possibility that I'm looking. Or the other possibility is that like basically Urahara and Gorojin might have already like them even left leaving that morning, they might have already left into like the world of follows because like they would be like only absolutely confident that like this time like their plan will be as representatively it's when proof will be definitely willfully be entering into like the world of follows. So like Ryan, you're already entering into like the world of follows and waiting stealthily waiting hiding and maybe waiting for like it's when to like enter into like the world of follows to for them to like eventually totally get on the fake access like they have accidentally ran into Suvan Pro like eventually such a way like Ryan you're already planning like around like a possible so scenario that I'm also looking at the so like really my percentage ambitions were like eventually once the like time of the event go would be up and basically once like learn would be like things which go to like tell their answer as to like who among them is like the fake one like I'm preparing at that point precisely beside learn would be like the actual Nova and by then like basically the Karudo would have probably like disguised and transformed and disguised to turn himself to make himself look like Spawn. It's definitely my personal impression. So like Karudo me like the disguise of Spawn right beside Ichigo and Pro at that point while Elder will be asking that question to give the answer and precisely since like Karudo as well as like Spawn are in fact more so like precisely not even Ishida would be able to like sense that basically Spawn is actually Karudo in disguise at that point. That's definitely my point to them. And just being like that extremely relevant point where like not even should I would be able to like figure out like the presence of that mod soul Karudo in like the disguising himself as like Spawn. That's definitely my point to them. So like which them giving like the wrong answer and basically straight away like Karudo right then itself like revealing that basically he's like Tarudo writes then like revealing that he's not thought what say he's going to thought was like font that was like standing right next to them being revealed as like Tarudo and like Tarudo and that way like the three modes of like Scotland absolutely according to like Yoroji as well as Urahara's like master plan like really them collectively totally and absolutely dripping and coding is to go and grow into like genuinely thinking and believing that basically they had actually failed to correctly answer that failed to give the right answer without realizing that there had been at least most of and Urahara as well as Yoroji had were all being collectively working which went through this entire time. And that being the sole reason for like it's definitely not just the embarrassing. So like in short, like I wasn't clear impression that eventually once like it going through that time would be up and at that point but like Darren would be shouting out that basically your time is up like at that point and Darren would be asking this went through as like who among the like the fake one like at that point about the thing like when it went through have to like tell their answer as to like who among the them like the fake one like at that point about the thing the precise range that would be like standing beside which go would be definitely like a soy phone using her transformation magic that she would have learned from Yoriji to like precisely transform herself into like making herself look like Renji as well as like the phone that would be right then present with like when right there would be precisely Carolo in disguise while like the actual Renji and like the actual original phone would be like caught and trapped somewhere within like the school like would be like caught trapped that basically they won't be even able to like shout out and let Ichigo and throw notes about like all the cheese tricks history most of will be playing to precisely secure a victory in this precise game. It's definitely the scenario that I'm looking at only something and not definitely emotion. Okay, so like definitely my secondary impression right now has got like it was like classmates like basically the pairing collectively basically definitely like the technique used will be precisely that among one among like the perfect section of that unique soul ability like technique soul attack soul power like technique among which like one of like the other techniques among this like section of techniques unique techniques would be with which that Urahara might have only collectively erase like the memories of like the which was classmates not once but I think like twice it has happened certainly in other than so like definitely Urahara would be behind this and like it would be like the one another technique among this very same section of techniques that like maybe either Urahara might have invented like a way to like achieve this or to execute this, and it would be precisely through that precise kind of like unique techniques that basically like right now like the models are like easily able to like make like even without bringing like the holocaust like the models are easily able to like instantly make like each of your classmates like disappear. That's definitely my category and question. Okay, so like definitely not listen to the question right now as for like your job so if on like that only running and rushing to like the very top of like, the school building like I was referring to the precisely to open like the actual gates to like the world of photos like the gates that we to like the world of photos that basically like the Mozart have opened like multiple times until this point might have been like fake gates of photos is definitely not experimentation. But right now, like the actual true gates of photos would be only be able to like be created and opened precisely by Biology as well as like Saigon. Which definitely my person it would take a lot more work and effort for them to be able to like open up like the actual gates into like the world of photos, especially my person. But then Urahara might have totally taught and Biology how to like precisely open that safe gate. Like Urahara, it might have been extremely important for Urahara to like maintain that as stealth and not show up anywhere near like which going through when like they would be like while they would be like playing the game of how to make this modes of definitely my different generation. So precisely Urahara as well as so precisely Goroji as well as like Soipon totally rushing in with them totally prioritizing not prioritizing stealth in terms of speed rather than stealth in terms of hiding system even to the so like European so I want like priority right now while like we are recklessly like charging into like the very top of the school building the these quickly before like it's going through to be able to like chase after them and catch up to them before that like for Europe as well as so I want the victim also would have totally like contacted like Eurogy and might have totally like told Eurogy that basically the time is up and definitely to went through are certainly not going to be able to give the right answer. So like they really to precisely for them to like precisely open up like the actual true gate leading to like the world of horror like precisely for that exact and so between like Eurogy and well as so would be climbing to like the top specifically to like the normal sector school shooting and like they would want to like specifically activate that soul device right on top of like the school building. So precisely before like to go and through to like make it there and see what they're doing. So like before that like I'm also trying them activating it like and basically once again like a dark storm like basically storm cloud of like a storm like basically happening right, being created right there and I'm also trying that besides school building the like Ichigo and Pro are are in right now and considering that building as well most likely right now being surrounded by like a dark storm like the scenario that I was different and like this time like the actual original gate of follows like basically getting opened up and basically this will be exactly what like so that and this will and then specific considerations that like this is exactly what like there would be like currently talking meaning by even telling like Ichigo and Kuro to like basically sacrifice their life to basically in exchange to basically save the life of all their soulmates or classmates. It's definitely my experience and they would be like right now like the actual true gates to like the world of photos will be opening up and like basically like that way that way like blackmailing Ichigo and Kuro like into like basically getting into and through to like basically uh, feel forced to take to have no to accept that they have no other option but to like basically enter into like the world of Code of and that way even for getting track to like the world of Code of definitely my considering this even right now that I'm still thinking on to. Also like definitely not the embarrassing right now that's for like when exactly Karudo might tell that the replace chat and like disguise that chat and the sorry this chat like no original chat like it might have completely subject right now for like it might have been something that might have completely happened precisely during like the whole physical training class when like precisely for him and went out like were really looking searching for like Tatsuki and those developing it might be precisely during then those preparing that while Ichigo and Ishida and Chad like basically ran after ran after for him. At that point, I'm not preparing Chad might have been precisely like the person that might have been the slowest during that. So not the slowest, but I'm not preparing like Chad might have been in the last. It might have been like Orhine running in like the front with like Ichigo and Ishida running behind Orhine and with like Chad running behind even Ichigo and Ishida. Might have been like the scenario. So like that might have at that point it might have been like the beginning chat, but like I'm the chat was like the first person running the at the further back like I'm the protected stealthily. Haruno might have protected stealthily caught chat and basically since like chat was like the further the person running at the further back like absolutely no one might have even spotted that attack stealthy attack of Haruno. And that way, Carodo might have only captured Chad and basically might have only put Chad into like some sort of a trap. Uh, that is so in such a way that basically Chad might have only while contained in that trap, like Chad might have not all been able to uh, not all be able to like shout out and let it go and about like the situation. So like impossible straight away it might have been perceptive then that basically while Ichigo and Kuro were like running towards the level with like they were running towards like trying to search the for Tatsuki might have been precisely when the original chat might have been totally stealthily replaced by like Karuno taking the guys as chat. That might have happened precisely during then definitely not the end. Yes, but definitely not the temperature right now. Like the original chat right now will be perfectly tied up and they would be putting some sort of a drug in which like chat won't be able to like make any sound at all. And he will be currently present in like one of like the classroom leading up to that third floor in like the first floor school building where like Orihime and Ichigo and all of them have basically found like the Tatsuki's like the restaurant, especially my book in the maybe it would be like the lower floors of that building. One of like the rooms in like the lower floors of that building were like precisely stealthily Karudo might have totally attacked Chang from behind and this might have quickly captured and trapped Chad and put Chad into that red platform and like Karudo might have quickly transformed and the cast himself as Chad and ran along behind to go and through behind Ichigo and through suddenly versus Imperial.